And we're back for another dose of it. I'm glad to be here again. I'm excited to share today. I want to talk about a massive shift that's sort of been accumulating for me over the past year or so. And if I had to sort of sum up the one thing that has completely shifted my entire paradigm and experience of life and how I live it and how my future is going to pan out because of it, then this is the shift that it would be, and this is what I want to share and sort of transmute to you guys so that you guys can sort of take this, put it into your self-awareness and bring it into your field of awareness. And if it resonates with you, then fantastic. If it does not, then that's totally okay. I understand that who is supposed to hear this, who needs to hear this will. But yeah, like this shift that I want to talk about that completely changed my life, it's definitely not what you think as well. It's not your average like, oh, it was a workout plan, it was moving location or XYZ, or like a mindset shift. They're all super important, but the shift that I have made progressively, which I used to really struggle with, but have now got a firm grasp over, and I'm starting to see the benefits on a broad scale, as once you sort of lean into this shift and perspective, it literally sort of opens up all of the other areas of your life and has a cascading flow-on effect, in ripple effect into all of the other sort of realms and wheels of your life, and that sort of then just enhances your journey and gives you a certain amount of clarity. But yeah, I'll actually explain what the shift is, and that is learning to master your solitude and lean into boredom, because this is something that when I first sort of got on this journey of awakening and stepping into alignment and authenticity and like my higher self and elevating my consciousness, I was terrible at solitude and boredom. And I guess this is the sort of society that we're sort of brought up into, is constant distraction on the surface level. The mind and the ego is always looking for distraction, so that we never sort of sit in stillness and sort of sit with and just be with what is underneath the surface, things that are wanting to be felt and processed, or just whatever insights from like God and like the ether want to come through. It's really hard to get in touch with those and your intuition when we cannot sort of deal with boredom, when we're constantly after instant gratification and overstimulation. And that is something that I have really struggled with in the past, especially the overstimulation and the instant gratification. Like that stuff can really destroy you, and it has destroyed me for many years. And I'm only now finally just starting to get a grip on those sort of habits, because my mind is very, very sneaky. And as I mentioned in a previous video, like that survival mind that we have, it will use addictive tendencies massively to keep us stuck in the familiar sort of hell that we can sort of live in that autopilot unconscious state, and always looking for the next dopamine hit, always looking for the next distraction, whether that be going on a holiday, hanging out with someone, watching a movie, being on your phone, watching another podcast, watching another YouTube, doing another course. All of these sort of things that our mind can tell us are productive, that we're making progress. But what if the progress is actually just doing nothing and just existing for a moment and sitting in silence, embracing solitude, because that's where the next sort of evolution of your spirit and consciousness, that's where emotions are going to be processed for you to integrate, to become more whole. There are so many powerful benefits to sitting in stillness, and I feel that as you progress on this spiritual journey, it is something that you inevitably cannot avoid. And like from my experience, continually avoiding stillness and boredom and solitude leads to deep internal suffering, because it's like your soul is screaming out to be heard. Like it wants to experience stillness, and that's when like God and the divine will try and speak to you through your intuition. But if you don't allow yourself to listen to it, you cannot feel and see what is being provided for you, that aligned path. And that's sort of exactly where I'm at now, and this is the shift that has completely changed my life. I've become self-aware and built self-awareness through the practical application of Vedic meditation. And like what this has done for me, it has allowed me to separate from my thoughts and really cultivate a deep sense of self-awareness. And like I understand that I am not my thoughts, I am not my body, and I am not the emotions that sort of course through my body. They are all things that I experience, and I am the observer, I am the watcher. The self-awareness, or the consciousness within, that divine consciousness. And I know that there's like been a lot of books written on that stuff, like The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer is a fantastic book on this, but it's still a hard concept to grasp. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that I fully understand it, but I feel like I can embody it enough where like I have a pretty high level of self-awareness intellectually, and also just understanding that like I am a spiritual being of consciousness, of energy within this human experience, and I am not my thoughts. And like that's the key. We are not our thoughts. You are not those distractive thoughts that tell you that you need to do this and go and do that when a certain feeling of fear or self-doubt or anxiety comes up. And this is what I wanted to sort of touch on about like the mastering boredom and solitude, because when you start to build self-awareness by consistently sort of meditating during each day, when these thoughts come up that want to pull you away from the inevitable boredom and solitude and stillness that is actually asking you to just sit in it, because that's where the next level of fulfillment and growth is on the journey. When you have awareness, you can separate from these thoughts and go, this is just my survival brain trying to look after me, it's trying to keep me safe. And then you can have compassion for that part of your mind, because it's just that outdated survival programming like I've spoken about in my previous video with the whole like head v heart, mind v soul stuff. But you can have compassion for that side of your mind, and then you can choose to respond instead of react, and just sort of continue on that autopilot and never go into the boredom and just sort of get lost in that source. You can choose to lean into the discomfort that is actually aligned for you. It's just your mind and nervous system trying to get you to not do that, because it's potentially fearing feeling emotions or being vulnerable, or just like our brains and our nervous system, just due to this modern world, we get so used to overstimulation that the pure thought of just sitting still is so difficult for us to actually do. But that's not natural. Like when we have this stillness in our day to day, and when we cultivate a practice of say meditation to build self-awareness, it allows you to be okay in boredom, and that allows you to just be and just exist, because we don't always need to be doing. And what I've come to find now is that if we're always doing, the quality of the doing isn't actually that enjoyable, because you're not actually present there for it. It's very forced. It's very straining on our system, because we're just jumping from dopamine hit to dopamine hit, from thing to thing, sort of avoiding this underlying tension. But when we finally can learn to add stillness into our life and embrace the moments of solitude, that's where you can develop a really strong connection with yourself and with also God. And that's when intuition and insight can also come through. But it's also when you can sort of sit with certain parts of yourself that maybe you haven't sat with for a long time. There could be parts of your fragmented inner child from childhood that really needs to just express some emotion that you can process, that just makes you feel that 5% more whole and like caring and loving within yourself. Or there might be a powerful insight that comes through, an idea, something that's aligned to your soul's purpose that comes through when you just sit in that boredom. And it just creates more peace, because when you can learn to embrace boredom and solitude and stillness and integrate it into your life, it sort of just creates this yin and yang sort of harmonization within your reality. Because then when you are sitting in the boredom and the stillness, it no longer really becomes boredom. It just becomes time to exist and to just be. And that is super important. Like, we don't always have to be doing. We are human beings, not human doings. But there is obviously a doing aspect to living and executing and taking action. But wouldn't you want to experience that in your most present and potent state, from having recharged and rejuvenated in the stillness and the boredom and the solitude? And I think for any man or even any woman who is watching this, it's not celebrated in modern sort of society in the personal development world, but truly being able to sit in your own solitude and boredom and stillness is one of the most courageous and powerful things that one can do, because that is where all of our inner pain lies. That's where our mind does not want to go. That's what our mind and our ego fears, the stillness, because that's when the ego starts to lose its grip on us, and that's when we can truly connect with ourself on a super deep level. But it requires a lot of courage, because there are certain things in there that maybe we don't want to face. But that is where true growth is. And not even just growth. Like, I'm not speaking this whole message because you need to do this in order to be better. Like, that's not part of my philosophy. It's just what I've come to understand about this journey in life. And I still have a lot of like understanding to sort of gain and solidify. But from my understanding so far on this journey, stillness is just a natural part of life and the journey, and it is something that has been sort of programmed out of us. And life is about, to me personally, living a life of freedom and fulfillment. And like, fulfillment means the experience and the quality of our experience moment to moment. And that comes from being present and self-aware, because when you're present and self-aware, you have free will over what you're doing. You have more ability to respond. And like, that's why I'm saying, as you start to develop a meditation practice which cultivates self-awareness, that equals more presence, and that then equals fulfillment in the present moment, because you're actually aware of what you can do. You can really tune into all the senses that you're experiencing as you're doing X, Y, and Z. And as I said before, the doing part of your day becomes enriching. It sort of like lights your soul on fire. And I've just linked another, I'm just sort of speaking out loud here right now, another sort of add-on to this is when that doing part, that taking action, that living life, when you actually take the time to sort of sit in the boredom and the nothingness and the stillness and connect with yourself and your intuition, that's when the alignment comes through from God or the divine, being like, hey, like, this is what you're here to do. And then when you actually do the doing, it becomes so much more enjoyable, versus not allowing yourself to listen to your intuition because you're too scared to sit in stillness. If you're always just rushing and jumping and going from thing to thing that you're not even really enjoying, because it's not actually from a soul level what you're here to do, it's from a mind point of view, you are never going to feel fulfilled. And this is all stuff I've actually gone through from experience. Like, I've experienced this quite intimately over the last year or so, and that's why I want to continue to talk about it, because I guess a big reason of why I've created this whole channel is to help you guys sort of just expand your own self-awareness and consciousness more, and for you to be able to take certain principles or experiences that I talk about as I sort of work it out and go along myself, and to just take things that resonate for you and be able to apply it into your own life. Because like, I believe in becoming a sovereign individual, and that means being able to be the leader of your own life. And I sort of want to talk about my own experiences and like how I'm trying to just sort of live a life that is meaningful to me, because like, there are obviously so many things out there about the meaning of life and like, what is the meaning of life? And it's a deep question that yeah, it is a very deep question. I just was pausing for a moment there on that like whole meaning of life. But I think the meaning of life is what you make of it for yourself, because your unique experience of life is your own unique lens. Like, no person's life or experience of reality is the same. It's all different based on our own level of consciousness and whatnot. So you get to make meaning for you. But like from my experience, and I guess where I'm at right now, to sort of tie this all together, like from starting to lean into stillness and boredom and solitude and make that big shift, it has allowed me to gain immense clarity on my path and my authentic soul's alignment. And it has allowed me to deepen connection with God and the divine. Like I genuinely feel so supported by God in this journey. And I say God not tied to any religion. I say God as in the Most High, like our creator, like just as a resemblance of like just that divine creator energy, like that sort of we all come from. I genuinely believe we all come from that same oneness, and we're all just sort of having our own unique experience of in this human world, sort of human experience, sorry. But yeah, I've gained so much clarity, and that has, from the clarity, has led to more fulfillment and enjoyment and in the present moment, because now I'm actually making videos like this. Like I actually enjoy on a deep level making these videos and talking to you guys. Like it lights my soul on fire. Like I fucking love it. So amazing just to yap and just talk about whatever's on my mind, experiences that I've had, and just about life itself. Like I love the whole spiritual journey, nature of reality, universal laws, like just masculine and feminine energies, all of these different things, the whole spiritual personal development sort of lens and world and all the wisdom there is out there. Like I just love it. So this video wouldn't have even have come into existence. Sorry, it wouldn't have even have been birthed if I hadn't have made that shift of going, you know what, there's something here in the silence, in the stillness, in the boredom. And like once I committed to making that shift and being able to detach from my thoughts and create space from them and be able to then gain the clarity, like my life is starting to change and unfold in front of my eyes. And it's nothing drastic. It's just like fulfillment and like little micro moments of presence during my day where I'm like, damn, like this is amazing. Life is good. Instead of the whole paradigm of like, oh, like I'll be good when, or like life will be good once I have all of these. No, life's fucking good now, and I'm living it now because I'm stepping into my purpose and my alignment, and it feels amazing. And it's just like, that's the beautiful dance of life itself. We just get to exist and be and do, celebrate, experience. And that's sort of like one of the big messages that I'll continue to speak about on this channel, is essentially just like getting and extracting the most out of your experience in the present moment, because the present moment is all we truly have, and it's about living now in the present moment and experiencing fulfillment. And that is actually like a universal truth. Like fulfillment is here and now. Like it's not going to come when we have all of these things. But if the paradox is, if you can truly lean into who you are on an authentic level and sort of lean into the yin and the yang of life, the stillness, the action, the chaos, the stillness, it's all a part of God's beautiful creation that equals life. And if we can fully learn to embrace all of it, I believe it creates this sort of like state of bliss where we just get to experience the full spectrum of emotions in life. And like what a fucking experience that is. Like I feel like that is what we've come here to do, to fully embrace the highs, to fully embrace the lows, and just understand that like that's the beauty of being a soul that comes here to like fucking reincarnate and experience all the shit that we're experiencing. We get to experience the full spectrum of everything. But yeah, I feel like that video went on so many different tangents, but they sort of all connect. But I guess what I want to summarize and like leave you with is, if you're sort of sitting in your reality now and you feel like you resist stillness, boredom, solitude, just ask yourself, could I start to sort of tap into that? Because I guarantee you, I'll give you my word actually, that if you have enough courage to begin to sit in your own solitude and boredom and master that and just make it a sort of sacred practice where you just learn to not do as much and sort of meditate and create stillness within your mind and separate from your thoughts, because as I said before, like you are not your thoughts. You're not your thoughts, you are the observer of your thoughts, you are the consciousness, the conscious awareness behind it. That will unlock so much for the rest of your life, because that will then give you the ability to be able to discern using your intuition and awareness what is aligned for you and what's just fear and coming from your mind. And like, as I said, it will give you more fulfillment in the present moment more fulfillment in the present moment, when you have more self-awareness. So the action that you're actually taking on the things that are aligned for you, you will enjoy so much more. And that's what life is about. It's not about accumulating material things. They paradoxically and as a byproduct come of you showing up and enjoying yourself, being your highest self and embodying your authentic signature of a soul that God sort of has gifted you. So when you do that and you're enjoying yourself, you're in your body, you're present, you're feeling fulfillment, that's when life just sort of unlocks. And that's the journey that I'm on. And like, there are days where I feel like I'm embodying that, but then there are also days where I'm stuck in my head and I'm stuck in fear. And that's actually natural. That's a whole other video that I will go into. Like, we're never going to always feel 100% like in alignment. Like, it's a full-on dance, but that's why this shift of building self-awareness and meditating and learning to just detach from your thoughts, it helps close the gap of being out of alignment and being unconscious, being in fear, versus stepping into alignment, self-awareness, fulfillment. So yeah, hopefully you guys have got something out of that. If there's any other sort of topics or videos that you guys would love me to dive into next, please drop below in the comments. But yeah, I'm really enjoying making these videos, and like, if you're someone that's been watching a couple of them now, honestly, thank you so much. I'm super grateful for the recent subscribers as well. Like, it really doesn't go unnoticed. Like, I'm really keen to build like an awesome just sort of community and space of other people who are aligned on this same path and who just want to sort of step into who they are, because that's what I'm all for. Like, I love being able to sort of facilitate any sort of change in someone's life, even on the smallest minute level. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.